TIAA is on a mission. Why? Because 54% of Black Americans don't have enough savings to retire. So in collaboration with big-name artists like Wyclef Jean, TIAA released Paper Right, new music inspiring a new financial future. With 100% of streaming sales going to a nonprofit that teaches students how to invest. Stream Paper Right now and help close the gap.
Whether you're a diehard sports fan, a hopeless romantic, or a comedy aficionado, the Xfinity 10G network was made for streaming it all. Worry less about buffering when streaming your favorite shows, movies, or live sports and enjoy a better way to watch. Xfinity gives you a reliable connection for streaming plus all the entertainment you love all in one place. Fear not, because now you can finally sit back, relax, and stream your favorite entertainment and sports like never before with the Xfinity 10G network.
It's time to say goodbye to hold music and say hello to fast customer support with Service Cloud. With trusted AI and data working together, you can skip long wait times and deliver efficient, personalized service right away, all while keeping support costs low and more customers happy. Reimagine your customer support with the #1 AI CRM for service. Learn what's possible at salesforce.com/products/service.
Welcome to the Age of Jeremy. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to this podcast. Follow me on Instagram at Age of Jeremy. I am the leader in business, investing, taxes, gaming, and well, anything I choose to learn, I choose to share that with you. You can also check me out on TikTok at Age of Jeremy and Twitter at Age of Jeremy Q. If you want to be on this podcast and chat, just hit me on the DMs somewhere like Twitter. I hang out on there a lot. I was just there on a Twitter Spaces with Collecti Labs. So if you don't know about Twitter Spaces, you need to, and you need to be on it, especially if you're a creator. It is dope. Just remember, I will never DM you first, ever, 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 ever. I have a ridiculous amount of scammers, so never listen to me if I DM you on social media platforms. Only a week and a half left to get your 2022 Freedom Conference tickets. They are available virtually. It is available virtually, so you should be there. There is a link to the event in my bio where you can purchase your ticket. It is a wealth building conference. Coach JV will be talking about mindset. Porter Shumway will be talking about insurance and how to grow your wealth and insurance vehicles. Crypto influencer Bearable Bull will be live streamed in and talking about crypto. Jordan Harry will be speaking about speed learning. He will also be emceeing the event, so you don't want to miss that. We will also have our technical analysis team and crypto research team there hosting panels. And I think that's it. Let's get this show on the road. My name is Jeremy Quintanilla. You are listening to Age of Jeremy. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm the co-founder of Age of Radio and 3T Fitness, and, well, other businesses that I am working on. This podcast is about everything that I learn and the trials and tribulations it took to learn them. I hope you enjoy. I have a special guest today, Jinx Cosplay. Her real name is Jessika, and I have known her since I was in 7th or 8th grade. She went on an amazing adventure after high school to Dubai, but she is now back living in Arizona, and she is a cosplayer, and she has been a cosplayer for a very long time. We actually had a band together when we were in 8th grade and into high school. She has an amazing voice, and she is very, very creative. That is one of the things I'm trying to get more of on this show, are creators. If you want to kill someone, take away their ability to create. So ABC, always be creating. I also love listening to creators talk about what it is they create, and Jinx creates costumes. She loves to make them and wear them, and she often wears them at conventions. She also loves all things geek, including video games, and sharing her techniques about cosplay. You can check out her website. So check out her website at www.jinxcosplay.com. That's www.jinxcosplay.com. And links to her socials are in the episode description. Here's my conversation with Jessika, aka Jinx. Enjoy. Hi, Jessika. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you doing, Jeremy?
I am doing amazing. Thank you so much for rushing home to be on this with me. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Cool. So, did you have a fun day, busy day at work?
I never have a structured day, which is good and bad. It's a little bit more of a blessing than it is a curse. So yeah, I kind of get up whenever I want. Not really, but today I got up whenever I wanted and went and had lunch with the office that I rarely go to.
Oh, nice.
But I love these guys, so I always go and have lunch with them because it was my my boss's birthday there.
Oh,
My
that's
boss,
cool.
Yosef's.
How
Yeah.
long
And then
how long have you been doing that with the real estate?
so it's kind of funny. I'll try and be quick with what I actually do. I work for a couple different entities. One of the main ones is the nonprofit. It's a real estate nonprofit group that they promote home ownership, sustainable home ownership in the AAPI community. And from that organization, there's a couple of founding members that I work for as well. So he's actually an architect. So it was,
cool.
yeah. So I actually help him out, and the other one's a realtor. So that's kind of where I started getting into real estate. So I've been with them for about 3 years.
Nice. Well, thank you for sharing that. I know that that's not why you're here to talk
okay.
talk about real estate. I mean, I guess we do talk about business stuff, so real estate is, beneficial.
Right. Yeah. It's like you gotta fund your passions.
Right. But one of the things that I'm really trying to focus on in the Age of Jeremy show or podcast is kind of having creators come on and kind of talk about, their processes of what they create and how they create things and how they got into the things that they create. Just because with all of the things that I do, especially with our 3T Warrior Academy and with Coach JV, my business partner, one of the things that we found out that is like people really lose themselves when they're not creating. Like if you want to kill someone, you stop them from being able to create the things that they enjoy creating. And that's like one of the biggest things that I've taken away over this last year in my own life about creating stuff. And so that's why I kind of want to have more creators on this podcast. And so to that point, you do cosplay.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
It's very accurate.
So,
you're on it today.
I guess for people that don't know what cosplay is, because it's because like most of the times when I think of cosplay, I just think of like like anime characters or Japanese animation characters or maybe video game characters. But if you could just kind of explain what cosplay is for people that may not know what it is.
Yeah, I actually run a history of cosplay panel at events. So I'll give you a quick rundown. So essentially cosplay watered down is like costume play, which is kind of like Halloween on steroids, I guess you could say.
Right.
Or Halloween all year round. It was, there's debate on where it started. People think it's a Japanese hobby, but it was just popularized by the Japanese. If we go all the way back, it actually started at a sci-fi convention in the US in the 40s, I believe it was. So nowadays it can be really anything. It's basically like, I guess you could say like embodying a character. Because nowadays a lot of people can buy their costumes. They can do what we call closet or casual cosplays, which are kind of just, something you pull out of your closet that character might wear. Or you still have the people that go full on creator mode. They will sew or build, armor and props.
Right.
And we wear them around conventions and events. And of course, there's costume contests. So that's kind of why I say it's Halloween on steroids. A lot of cosplayers get started through Halloween. So,
right. So it doesn't have to be like a video game. It can literally be anything that you're willing to put a costume on and kind of act that out or be that.
Right. Character. Yeah. Nowadays, it's literally anything. And again, I defined it as embodying a character because it's not just making a costume or wearing a costume or, taking pictures. It's really evolved a lot, especially in the last 10 years.
Yeah. And so you've been doing it a very long time because I feel like you did it even when we were in high school. So people that don't know, we went to high school together and junior high together, actually.
Well, even if they don't know, we were in a band together.
And we were in a band together, yes. Which is odd because every once in a while I'll get I'll get a thought in my head and I was like, I should start a band with Jessika and just call her up and do it. Just because I feel like even though I'm 38 now and I still feel like I'm in a place now where I have the ability and the funds to just kind of make music now. Or that was what made it difficult when we were younger because we didn't have any money and you had to go to a studio then. And now costs have gone down drastically on stuff. So it'd be like so easy to make an album now. And be able to get it going and making it. But that
it's so funny. Yeah, it's so funny that you say that. I mean, I was thinking the same thing. I remember we could barely meet up for rehearsals because even the four of us, because there were four of us, we were so involved in extracurricular stuff in school, like theater and, band and stuff. But same thing with cosplay. Yes, I started cosplay in 2001 when I was 17. So that was my last year of high school. And I have the same feeling actually, because people are like, well, are you still going to be cosplaying in 20 years? Which now I'm on year 21. So yes, I will be. But yeah, I have the same feeling. I feel like now I have the discipline, the time. Well, not always the time, but I can make the time.
Time is still difficult.
Yep. The funds and the experience and the skill. I mean, I clearly have grown in skill, over 20 years. I would hope that I did. And so as a 38-year-old as well, I'm thinking I'm going to do even more with cosplay.
Right.
So I'm on the same,
which is so awesome, because I think that's one of the things that when I was growing up that I was always like fearful of, is that you would stop. And then that's the reason why I want to do this, because I did actually do this as I grew up. I stopped doing the things that I enjoyed doing when I was younger, right? Where you have stayed with that passion, for the 21 years, which is phenomenal. So do you see a lot of new people coming into cosplay? Like, or is it people that are started when they were, that they're more towards your age, or is it just a variety of people, or?
It's so funny that you say that okay. So I'll be honest, like I did take a couple years break,
right.
Between, when I was changing careers, I moved overseas. So I took like a 4-year break. But that was me moving overseas and kind of getting my feet, on the ground. But as far as cosplay in the last 20 years, I would say that people that started back when I started, there's not many. There are some that have monetized and made something great out of it, like Yaya Han. If you're not familiar with cosplay, she's basically like the most popular person in cosplay. She's actually monetized. She works with, pattern companies and fabric companies.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. But as far as people joining now, I think it's, first of all, you used to not to be able to buy ready-made costumes. Even Spirit Halloween, which for those of you outside the US, it's like a Halloween costume chain. They have licensed costumes from video games, anime, and they didn't used to have that before. It used to be the generic cheerleader or the generic nurse, but now you can go and you can buy costumes from Overwatch and Fallout and Fortnite.
Yeah.
So and of course, those are all geared towards Halloween, but it's kind of a really great stepping stone for people just trying cosplay. Because when you put on a nurse's outfit, we don't really count it as cosplay because there's not really a specific character that you're embodying.
But
right?
if you were embodying a character that was a nurse that had like, if you were like Night Nurse from Marvel or something, then it would be more cosplay rather than just being
that
a
would
nurse.
be cosplay,
right.
Yes. But just a nurse or just a devil is something to be more reserved for like Halloween. But when you start going into actually named characters, or even your own original characters, is where cosplay kind of follows. And so when people can go buy their costumes, it definitely opens the doors for more people of all skill types, all ages to become a cosplayer. Back when I started in 2001, it was kind of frowned upon to like buy your costumes, even if you bought it from a commissioner, from someone else who made it.
Right.
It was always more noble, or so we thought, that you make your own stuff, which back then you kind of had to anyway. I mean, there were only like 5 different types of wigs.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You couldn't even buy like, even the costume world was so limited. There was like 3 types of wigs and 8 colors, and that was it. So nowadays you can buy wigs already styled in specific characters. Pretty much they have costumes out before, even a series or a new video game is dropped. And I think that makes it easier for people that, are not necessarily skilled in sewing or skilled in crafting armor. And that was so limiting before, and now it's so much more accessible.
Well, so before I get to a kind of a follow-up question to that, how do you get, so I've seen you do all kinds of stuff, when I look at your Instagram for characters, but where do you get your inspiration for your characters on what you're going to do?
It's changed over the years. And when I first started cosplaying, so I'm a Filipina, like I've got the tan skin, the dark hair, big nose, Asian eyes. So it was kind of an internal thing for me that I felt I had to cosplay who I actually looked like. There wasn't really anyone out there saying this. And of course, nowadays, there still are those internet trolls that, are like, oh, you're too big, small, whatever, to be that character.
Yeah.
Right. So that was something internally that I had to work with, not only in cosplay, but also as a, woman growing up in America. But nowadays, I actually have managed to break through pretty much all of those barriers. And when I choose characters, there's so many reasons I choose characters. Sometimes I don't even have a reason, and I just want to cosplay with my friends.
Right.
So for me, it used to be just the creating and then the photos, but nowadays it's more about the experience for me as a much older cosplayer than the ones that have just started now in their teens and early 20s. I'm all for making a costume of a character. I have no idea who they are. If that means I can be with my group of friends also in the same
and it's so funny.
Yeah.
It's weird that you mentioned that, because even now where I'm at in my life, I don't care so much about like, I don't know, nuanced things with certain things. Like, I just want to be able to be with the people that I care about and do the fun thing. And it doesn't matter just because I'm with that person. I wonder if that just has to do with getting older.
Yeah, good point. I don't know, because I never used to buy pre-made costumes. It just was a personal thing.
Right.
I didn't hold it against anybody that did, but I did not buy my first pre-made costume until 2019. And that was because 3 of my friends were putting together a group. If you've ever heard of the KDA pop stars from the game League of Legends.
Yep.
I don't play, but I was in love with this music video. And they were like, hey, we need an Evelyn. And I was like, oh, okay. And I bought the costume because I was like, this is short notice. I don't want to spend time or money on it.
Right.
And it was one of the most funnest experiences I ever had, because being with 3 of my closest cosplay friends and just going, it was so much fun.
Right. It has more meaning to it, or it's, I guess, more fun or something along those lines.
Definitely.
But yeah, I've noticed that a lot about the stuff that I do now too. Like I know, like when I was younger, and as I mentioned with the music stuff, with the band that we were in, and then the bands that I was in with other people, it was always about like, okay, this is what I want to do for a career. I want to do this so I can have money because I enjoy this, and but it was more focused on like that money. Now I don't really care if it makes any money. It's more about like just doing it and doing it with people that I enjoy doing it with.
Absolutely.
So as far as the design piece goes, you have to like, did you know how to do the building of the costume prior of getting into cosplay, or did you have to learn all of that stuff because you got into cosplay?
So my mom, she actually was taught how to sew by her mom. So, I learned from her. She would sew all of our costumes and everything. And I went to conventions at an early age. And I think it was 1996 that we went to the San Diego Comic-Con International, which is huge now. It's always been the biggest event. And we saw people dressing up. And I told my mom, like, that looks cool. I want to do it. She was so on board. And she was brilliant. Like, I could show her a picture and she could take like 3 different patterns or draft her own pattern and make it together. So when I started cosplay, I was pretty much just focused on like sewing and stitching, they call it in that category. So I learned how to do stitching from my mom. And of course, a lot of trial and error, because there's no specific patterns for, at the time, was not for Sailor Moon costumes, for example. There are now, but back then there wasn't. And when we go later in my cosplay career, I started learning how to make armor and props. And that was a lot of trial and error and learning from other people. Like, again, I say there's no like cosplay 101 book, but there probably will be soon, because there's so many cosplay books now, but there's no like one resource where you can go, like, you can't go to the community college and take a psychology class, there's nothing like that for cosplay. So the more people shared on the internet and with the public, the more you can learn. And I like to do the same thing as well. I feel like it's probably one of the few hobbies that can only like survive if it's been shared throughout the community.
Right.
So that's pretty much how I learned a lot of my stuff.
So then if people don't, for right now, are there resources where people can go to learn how to get into, because you said there's no like cosplay book 101, right? Or cosplay 101 course, but are there places where people can go to learn more about and learn how to do it that you would like recommend to people?
So actually, if this interview was a few years ago, then I could truthfully say that there was no cosplay course, but apparently there are now.
Really? That's really cool.
Yes, I was like, what? someone told me the community college had a course where they kind of touched on a couple different things. And I'm like, why am I not the teacher?
Right.
Like, I want to do that.
That's what you should be doing. You should reach out to them and be like, I can teach this type of class.
Right.
Yeah.
So there actually are a lot more resources now. I'd say probably 10 years ago, it was mostly YouTube videos and Instructables, which are online how-tos.
Right.
But nowadays there's books. There's lots of like downloadable content, exclusive content from other creators that are quite popular. There's cosplay patterns that some are licensed. So, you can get an actual character, or some are modeled after popular characters that, are there for your benefit. There's even cosplay specific fabrics, which is what Yaya Han does. She has a lot of really interesting, detailed and intricate fabric stuff that she has always said that she couldn't find when she was creating stuff.
Is she like the only person that has that type of thing going on? Or are there other cosplayers that have like their own fabrics line or things like that?
So she's the only one with her own fabrics line.
Yeah.
There are other cosplayers that have other deals with patterns, other craft supplies. There's and the thing about cosplay, it encompasses much more than just sewing.
Right,
I mean, it's so broad. I feel like we have to be, like Renaissance men and women to be able to do everything if you want to be a cosplay master. For example, there's a great channel called Evil Ted on YouTube. He's been around for quite some time, and he does a lot of like foam crafting, resin, that sort of thing. And he has his own line of cosplay tools at Michael's.
That's
so it's
cool.
so it's not just sewing, but that's where everyone thinks of first.
Right. Obviously,
yeah, but
that's
it's expanded.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what people think of. So that's really cool.
So there's so many resources if people want to start. I mean, maybe it's even overwhelming.
Right. So when to create when you think of like creating your own cosplay outfit or creating your own, the stuff for your character to embody them, like a lot of creativity has to go into that, right? And so do you ever find yourself getting, blocked on how to do something to get something accomplished? Or do you come into like creativity block when you're designing your stuff for your character or anything along those lines? Or have you had that happen?
Oh God, I wouldn't be a cosplayer if I said no. Yeah, absolutely. There's again, a multitude of reasons why I would make a costume. Usually I give I have a deadline of an event or a competition, and that can get stressful. I think all creatives understand how having the pressure to complete something can kind of drain your creativity.
Right, because you have to get it done by a certain time.
Yeah, because you have to get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of times it depends. Let's say that it's just an outfit I want to plan to wear to an event. I, for some reason, always have this problem of getting it started. Because once I'm past the pattern cutting and everything, everything just flies by. But usually what I do is I'll buy the fabric and the pattern, and it kind of just sits on a stack on my table for days. And I'm like walking by it like, oh man, it's less than 3 weeks before the event. And then it's 2 weeks. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? So that used to be pretty difficult. The motivation really was just more like desperation. But I do have to say that COVID has changed that completely. With no events coming up, because that's a huge part of cosplay is wearing it out in public. With no events coming up, I kind of started just making outfits with no deadline. And that really helped actually with my motivation in the long run. I can't say that, I'm always now perfectly, planned out, but it has definitely helped. And I kind of am now just making things all the time.
That's cool.
So yeah, the motivation's improved.
So when you go out to like an event or an expo, you said earlier, I think you said that you actually talk about the history of cosplay at events. Is that so? Do you like go there and like, whenever you go to an expo, I guess, are you always trying to be on a panel, or do you sometimes just go for fun and dress up, or like, what is your reason to be going to the events now as a cosplayer that you've been doing it for so long?
So I kind of look at my cosplay life in like two different like timelines or seasons or chapters, however people want to put it, or two like editions, edition 1 and edition 2. I would say like during edition 1 was more about the fun, going to the events. I was in my 20s as well, and I would always have to go to California to go to events, and I just wanted to wear costumes and play around and have fun. Nowadays, I'd say in my second or third edition, I really love to share knowledge. because I have done it for a long time and I do know a lot of interesting techniques because in the beginning we had to do some interesting things. And so that's kind of where panels come in and doing, our the talk show that we do every week. I do have to attribute it to one of my good cosplay friends. Her name is Sam, or Thermo Cosplay. She'd been doing panels and she invited me to do one. And then from then on, I'm just like, okay, Sam, what panels am I in? So I kind of joke all the time, like Sam assigns me a character and Sam assigns me a panel, again, because now it's more important to me as the experience and the time I spend with friends. But so events when I go is definitely to share knowledge, show off my costume, and just see what the community's doing. Yeah. Definitely I'm not big on competition, which is funny because I've won some big awards.
What's your biggest award that you've won?
I won Best in Show at Game On Expo 2018.
Oh, that's cool.
Wait, no, sorry, not that one. Best in Show at Tucson Comic-Con 2019.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and I won Best Masters at Game On Expo, which was the first one I competed in.
When you do your Zoom show, because you do your show on through YouTube Live, or do you record it?
We use something called StreamYard.
Oh, so you use StreamYard, okay.
Yeah, StreamYard.
Yeah, we use it for one of our shows, yeah.
Yeah, so we stream to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch all at once.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So the reason why I brought that up was because then do you put your trophies and stuff in the background that you won? So when you're doing it, people can see it? Okay,
so I do it in my cosplay room, and yes, my trophies are in the background, but that's because they're on a shelf
in the background. Right. It's not that you just did that specifically on purpose.
Yeah. And I wouldn't compete anymore if it wasn't for my friends. Like, I don't like to compete as a solo, but I have done.
But you prefer to do it in a team or a group competition?
Oh yeah, if someone wants to do a group, I'm like, let's go, let's do it. That's some of the most fun I've had ever at events. We're just competing in groups. But if someone was like, you should take this as a solo, entrance, I'm usually not down with it. I'm very impatient. When it comes to stuff like this, I'm very impatient. I don't like sitting around and waiting during the event and just all this other stuff. But if I'm there for a group, I'm definitely going to put my all in because I want to being a part of that group is a great experience.
Yeah. So before we talk about the show that you have a little bit more, what has been your favorite character that you've done as yourself? And then what was the favorite team character group that you guys did?
Oh my gosh. How much time do we have left on this podcast?
We have as much time as you want, as much time as you're willing to talk. I'm willing to listen.
I can't narrow it down to just one, but I'll try and pick
Okay, so what are some of your favorites that you've done that stand out to you? I really enjoyed doing that character or these characters or whatever.
So one of the obvious ones is Moana.
It's so funny that you mentioned that because that's one of my favorite ones that you've done.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. And what's funny is so if you're not familiar with a princess company, they basically supply princess actors and superhero actors for kids.
Oh, that's right. You used to do that or still do that.
Yeah.
Do you still do that?
I just retired.
Yeah. Okay. So I remember that you did that. Yeah.
So I always used to think wow, I wish I could do that because I've got a background in acting, but I don't look like any of the princesses. Again, this comes from, my whole self-image thing that I had as a Filipino American woman. Right. So when Moana came out, of course, everyone's like, oh my God, you look just like Moana. Sorry, that's my cat.
I see it.
The listeners can't see the cat tail in front of the mic, fine. So I apologize.
They can, maybe you can put the cat tail on the mic and they can hear it.
So that was an interesting foray into a new world, princessing. I like kids. So it was a pretty natural thing to do. But as a cosplayer, Moana became a passion of mine. I did 3 different Moana characters of hers. So that was definitely one of my favorite experiences because whenever I'm in Moana, people are just so shocked at how much I look like her. And the kids, of course, even if they're at, a cosplay event, I still make sure that I am believable enough for them.
Right. Yeah.
So kids think it's a blast. And
that's cool.
I completely handmade all of my Moana costumes, which I'm really proud of. And one of them did win an award at the Phoenix Fan Fusion. So that's one of my memorable ones. Another memorable one is Chun-Li from Street Fighter because I grew up playing video games. Street Fighter was my first one and Chun-Li was my first character. And I did this one only the last couple years, and she's always popular. I don't think I'll ever get rid of that costume because everybody loves Chun-Li.
That's really
So,
cool. Yeah, yeah. So do you so how about as a group? Like, because you said you do sometimes with like partnering up with people and you're all part of a team or a
yes.
group
So
project.
I've done quite a few groups now, but my most memorable experience, I'll do this. It's not like my most memorable costume because I barely made it, but I was invited by some new cosplay friends. So when I moved back into the US, I didn't know any cosplay friends. So I was invited by this group. When they met me in my Moana costume, they said, hey, we're going to WonderCon, which is in LA, and we're going to enter the masquerade as the muses from Hercules.
Oh, that's
and they
cool.
said, do you want to be a muse? And I'm like, yeah, why not? So I made part of the costume mostly because of time. You know, I helped with this and that. And one of the members choreographed the whole thing, and it was all these edits. And it was the most fun I ever had on stage.
That is so cool.
So much fun. We won most humorous that year, which I'm surprised. I'm like, really? We were that funny?
You're like, I don't remember being that funny up there. But
yeah. But it was so good. And I was like the most minorest of characters. Like, I'm pretty sure no one can even name the character that I was. But
I can't even name any of them. So
Yeah, mine was Melpomene, and people just loved it. They had such a blast watching us, and I got to know those people, those new cosplay friends, so well. And it's one of my most favorite experiences. And again, it didn't matter that we won or that I handmade everything, or
it was just the experience and doing it with those people.
Yeah.
So, are any of them part of your show? Because I want to talk about your YouTube show that you have. So, tell me about the show. Like, what's the name of it? How often does it come out? What do you guys do on it?
Yeah. So it's called CosTalk Live, and it actually spawned from the pandemic. I did do Twitch streaming a couple years ago playing video games. I'd always wanted to do some sort of cosplay talk show. Finally, when we were meeting up to do some practicing for a competition, COVID hit, and then everyone was on lockdown. And I was seeing my cosplay friends weekly, and then we were not seeing each other at all and had no idea when we would see each other. So one of my friends that I met in the Hercules group, her name is Liz. She goes by Ambrose Cosplay. She was one of our original hosts. She's still with us. And Sam, again, Thermo Cosplay, is the other host. And we started it because we were like, we're not doing anything with cosplay. You know, us old schoolers, we pretty much wear and make our outfits in public. And, people are seeing a lot of like TikTok stuff now that kind of all grew with the pandemic. A lot of people that cosplay now do a lot of just home shoots, which, wasn't really a popular thing back then. So when we started this show, we were just like, we just want to talk about cosplay, and maybe some other people do too. So we just started recording. We went through a couple different, programs. We tried Zoom, we tried Discord, we used OBS, and finally we settled on StreamYard. And we just decided we'll just keep talking. We did add on a few more regular hosts, and then we do have some regular guests as well as new guests, that contact us just to come on the show. And we try and make every episode have a special or unique topic. Sometimes we'll have the guest on that can help cover that topic, or sometimes it's just us, the original hosts, and we do like Q&As or Ask Me Anythings. And we've gotten such great response. Actually, Anime Next is an East Coast con in New Jersey, and they were doing a virtual con, and they were, asking for presenters. So I was like, okay, why not? I submitted. And we streamed for 4 hours for them straight.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So how long is your show normally?
1 hour.
1 hour. And so does it come out on a regular time every week?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's on Sundays at 12 noon, 12 Pacific or Mountain Standard.
Okay. So then how did you manage 4 hours? Like, what did you talk about for 4 hours?
Right. So, they had given us a time, again, because they're East Coast and we were West Coast. We were kind of like, we want to be able to still cover our normal slot time so that our regular viewers don't, miss out. So they were like, okay, well, we just ask that you at least stream for these 3 hours. So that's why we extended it to 4. Sam and I were kind of the main brains of the show. So her and I got together. We decided on a topic for each hour. So each hour would be like a separate episode. We even have different guests on, so it wouldn't be too too repetitive. And we kind of cheated a little bit because if you don't know, cosplay takes a long time to get into. So we did our first hour as getting into cosplay. So we actually showed up on camera without makeup.
Oh, that's a really great idea.
Yep.
That's
and
cool.
So Sam was painting herself pink because she was a character from Steven Universe. So another one was putting on horns. So we actually made a show out of that. And because we were up at like 9 a.m. and we're like, man, we're going to have to get up at like 6 to put makeup on. So yeah, we kind of cheated a little bit. And then of course we had some popular topics and different guests on. And then that was it. I was surprised. Sam and I kind of had this agreement that like, hey, if you need time away, I will take care of the show and vice versa. And actually her and I stayed on the whole time. With bathroom breaks, of course.
Right, I was going to say. That's a really long
with
time.
bathroom breaks. So it was a great experience. And, I'm just interested in growing CosTalk Live. One of our hosts is in the Pacific Northwest. So we're trying to get a lot more exposure. And we're actually going to Seattle for SakuraCon the weekend of April 15th. So we're going to be taking CosTalk Live there too.
Oh, that's next week, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I don't know when you're releasing this. So.
Oh yeah. No. That's a good. No, I appreciate. No. I appreciate you saying the date, but I was just like, oh, that's like next week.
Right.
yeah. That's a good point. So thank you. So then the couple final questions. What has been the hardest part of you for being a creator in cosplay?
I think this is pretty universal, but time and money.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess that's all hobbies or creative endeavors, I suppose.
I would say other than that, because cosplay is a very expensive hobby. Other than that, I would probably say like skill limitations, because there's so many different techniques and skills needed in cosplay that there are cosplays that I had put off for years because I felt I wasn't at the right skill level or had the right skill, and now I do. And there's still other things out there that I guess they're not stopping me, but they're slowing me down. For example, 3D printing. I actually just got a 3D printer. And so that's kind of, so my obstacle now is learning how to use it because I am having some problems. But I know that it can take my cosplay to another level that, I started with sewing and now I'm 3D printing. So other than the usual time and money, I would say it's, these kind of lack of skills or techniques that I then have to spend time. But
do you think that makes hobbies really more interesting? I guess because like you get to learn this new thing. Like I know that like it's not like it's more time that you have to learn it, and it like slows the process. But in the end, it takes your process to the next level, right? So like for instance, like when I'm messing around with photography or learning different digital audio workstations or anything like that, even though there is that stuff that you have to learn, that kind of makes a lot of it fun because that's kind of the journey. And you're constantly learning.
Oh yeah, it's fun, but it's still an obstacle.
Oh no, it's a huge obstacle.
Yeah, it's still there's cosplays I want to make. For example, there's a dream cosplay I have that would require vacuum form plastic.
I don't know what vacuum form plastic is, but it sounds intense.
Essentially, it's if you know what like stormtrooper costumes are made, that's kind of they use that technique, vacuum form plastic, to make these armors out of fiberglass and other kinds of plastic materials. As you can see, that takes a lot of space, takes a lot of energy and power. I've heard of people like blowing out fuses and stuff using these machines. And of course you need to have the vacuum form machine. So there's things like that where that's an obstacle for me. Doesn't mean I'm not going to get there.
Right. No, absolutely. But like, so yeah, I do agree that they're obstacles. I mean, I guess the main thing that I was like kind of getting at is that it also adds to the cool part about being involved with something like, with this, all the cool things that you get to learn along the way, even though they are obstacles, obviously. Yeah.
I think maybe what you're trying to ask is like, what's a hardship or something that makes it difficult?
No, I think you answered it right. I was just thinking about that and adding to it that like, these are hard things, but like when you look back at them, like you learned this new thing also is more of what I was getting at. Yeah. No, you answered it what I was asking. So where can people find you in social media? So where do people go to watch the show? You said YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Instagram Live,
Twitch.
Twitch Live, Twitch, yes, Twitch, Instagram, and YouTube.
We do have Instagram, but we stream on Facebook. We stream live on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, and you can find us all there, CosTalk Live. That's all one word. It's YouTube /CosTalk Live, Facebook /CosTalk Live, and Twitch.tv /CosTalk Live. We're also on Instagram, CosTalk Live, and we have a website. That one is, I don't know why it's different, but it's CosTalk-live.com.
CosTalk-live, okay.
CosTalk-live.com.
Do you guys do other blogs on there too, or is it just the video, or like what's content on your website?
Yeah, so far it's just video and our member bios. We do have plans for something more. So it's a placeholder. Just, keep an eye out for that. And then as far as me personally, I go by Jinx Cosplay. I have a website, jinxcosplay.com, but on social media, you can find me at the Jinx Cosplay on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Perfect. And TikTok, but I'm not really on TikTok much.
TikTok's really fun. You should do more TikTok.
Sometimes I tell myself I'm too old. I just don't have enough focus.
Yeah, that's what I hear a lot from people too. But TikTok's actually probably, well, now that Instagram has Reels is really fun to do, but TikTok,
I've been doing Reels.
Yeah, Reels is fun to do. I mean, Reels I think is better software personally, but you can do. So they have their pluses and minuses. Like TikTok overall, I think might be better, but Reels has some really intricate things that you can use with the actual built-in Reels software. So,
well, I think also the added thing is that it's built into Instagram. Yeah. So, it's like with TikTok, it's strictly just the TikTok videos and the algorithms are completely different. I know people talk about algorithms all the time. I don't really know what they mean, but it's like I already have my Instagram followers. So it just makes sense for me to just grow on Reels.
Yeah. So, and I'll put I'll get all of the links in the episode description so people can go and click on there and find you and join you and do awesome stuff. So thank you. Is there anything that you wanted to add?
We kind of talked about it off mic, so I just want to touch on it.
Yes, the show. Yes, tell me about that.
Yeah, so without giving, I guess it's it's
giving kind of stuff away.
I mean, there's really no way to hide it, but I do. I am in the works of producing, hopefully, Arizona's first cosplay specific convention. I have had it in my mind for a while. And this is another thing where, several years ago, I was like, there's no way. How could I ever do this? And, with age and confidence, maybe, I guess, I'm now like, I can do this. So that's kind of what I have in the horizon. And that's kind of where the whole real estate fuels my passion thing comes into play. Yeah. So, because my passion is events and cosplay and sharing that knowledge and wealth with everybody.
So there's not a cosplay event in Arizona. Like, is there? Because it's always probably combined with comics.
Right. There's smaller events like meetups and photo shoots and stuff like that.
But like a good big conference, there's not.
Yes. Or there's cosplay focused panels, events, and contests at bigger events like Phoenix Fan Fusion, which is just a generic kind of pop culture thing, or even anime conventions like Sabo and, the like. But there's nothing that really just highlights and focuses on cosplayers. And, I hope to give this event, an avenue for all different kinds of cosplayers of all ages, of all genres. And, one day I imagine it being a big 4-day event where each day is a different genre and there's 5 different contests where people can, either they made their costume or not. Everyone feels included. So that's kind of my goal.
One of the things that I like about conferences or workshops. So it'd be kind of cool because then if you have like a 4-day event, you could probably have like lots of cool workshops for people to learn about how to do certain things with cosplay. And then that kind of also becomes a resource for people to learn how to get involved with cosplay and do the things that they may not otherwise be able to have a hands-on time to work on them.
Yes, absolutely. There is an event called Costume College, which is kind of like that, very hands-on, lots of workshop panels. And that's kind of what I kind of want to model it after. Obviously, it's going to be more pop culture focused than Costume Con, which is a little more like historical and the like. But yeah, this kind of event, I would like to have more workshops at one day. I mean, we're going to start small.
Well,
but Yeah, but Sam and I would do these kind of workshops at conventions, and we were always limited to time, to space. So sometimes they wouldn't have a room that had, a projector screen, or, didn't have a kind of setup that we could do a workshop where people could do like a take and make. And this is where I think the cosplay focused convention comes into play, is that, we can make this catered to people that want to learn how to make. And that's one of the big parts of it. Of course, it's there to showcase cosplayers, but it also, like you said, is going to be a resource for people who don't either have the funds to buy their own materials, or they don't even know where to get it, or YouTube videos just aren't for them.
Right.
They can go in person and actually do an experience. And, some people learn better that way. And that's kind of another way that we want to make it more cosplay focused.
So I actually thought of two. Well, one is, so first question, are you going to be doing this? Do you know what city you're going to be trying to do this in Arizona, or you haven't got that far yet?
Yes, Chandler.
You're going to be doing it in Chandler? Nice.
Yeah.
Do you have like the spot that you're thinking about?
Yes, I do.
Okay, cool. Is it big? Yeah. You don't have to tell me what it is because you're working on it, but like, is it a good, it'll be a cool size to do it.
It's more like a banquet hall size.
That's kind of, still pretty
think
good.
Think of like a hotel conference type room, but it's not in a hotel. We're going to start small.
No, obviously. And just starting's the best, the first step, right? Like you have to start to get anywhere.
Even if we just have one work,shop and one panel and one contest, I know one day that will be something huge.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. So the other question that I thought of, so you're married.
Yes.
Yeah. So does your husband ever do cosplay with you? Like, do you do like things together, or doesn't have that interest, or?
So it's so funny because he's kind of a geek too. Like, he plays video games, but he's not so much into it as I am. Yeah. So of course, like, revealing this to him when we were first dating was it's always going to be awkward, but he accepts it. He thinks it's really cool that I create stuff. I did manage to get him into one costume, and then he won't get into any more after that, which is so confusing to me because the one costume I got him in was Bob from Bob's Burgers.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
Yep, because we had the whole family.
And you did Linda, right?
Yep, I did.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, another one of those experiences where it's like, because I cosplayed with my cousins, and we had so much fun. And that was in Dubai. And we were so popular because I'm never sure what is popular in Dubai.
Yeah.
But we were recognized all over the place. And I keep telling him, I'm going to make you another costume, and you're going to wear it because it would be rude not to wear a costume made by your wife.
Right. He's going to have to do it.
Just be a jerk, cool. Right? Yeah. So he's definitely supportive. He's not passionate about it as I am, but we'll get him in another costume. I'm sure we will.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, thank you again so much for taking time out of your day to do this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would like to say to your listeners, if you are one of those that are like, I don't know how to start, send me a message, send me a PM. I love helping out new cosplayers. I have assimilated some of my friends and family into cosplay. So I'm always happy to, give some starter advice.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And we will talk to you later, Jessika.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. So yeah.
Bye. That does it for the show. Remember to check out Jinx at www.jinxcosplay.com. That's www.jinxcosplay.com. And if you want to check out Jinx socials, links are in the episode description. Remember, be thankful, grateful, and kind. We will see you next time. Goodbye. Thank you for listening to The Age of Jeremy. Make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcatcher. If you can do me a favor, please rate this podcast if your podcatcher allows you to. Talk to you soon.
Okay, everybody, it's Michael E. Cullen II.
And I'm Sesame and Carta from the All Too Real 2 podcast. We're passionate about movies, TV, and pretty much all things pop culture.
Dive into the chaos of failed sitcoms, direct-to-video sequels, and the quirky realms of cinema and TV.
Join us every Thursday for your dose of All Too Real 2 entertainment.
We'll guide you through debates like whether Howard the Duck qualifies as a superhero.
Ponder if Larry the Cable Guy could be the new Rock or Schwarzenegger.
Discover if some shows and movies movies should have stayed in the cutting room.
Ever heard of a sitcom featuring that dictator with the funny mustache? Well, we watched it.
We're dedicated to unraveling the peculiarities of pop culture, sometimes with awesome guests.
So, if you're into the eccentric world of pop culture,
Listen and subscribe to All Too Real 2
available wherever you find podcasts.
and on Age of Radio.